Hey everyone. So Pete's not here. He is actually out playing at a barn dance. It's Friday. I was so tired after working all week. Now it's time to make some dinner and answer a few questions that you guys have. Let me get all this sorted so I can answer your questions. I haven't done another question and answer for talking about myself, so I figured I might as well write some of these questions down, that way I can answer them if I can find them. I was asked, when was the first time I went sailing? I had a boat before I met Pete, which is actually covered in the book Accidental Sailor Girl. It talks about how I bought my first boat named Happy, and my dinghy's name was Bipolar. That was the first time I went sailing. I decided when I was in Bipolar rowing that I was going to open up my umbrella because it looked like it was going to rain, and as soon as I opened up the umbrella it caught wind and I was sailing along with my umbrella. I felt like Mary Poppins. And the second time was actually kind of a funny story. I met Pete, and he had this little 18-foot sailboat that he had built for his daughter, and he asked me if I could sail this 18-foot boat. I agreed. I was going to take Little Bird and sail it up to Norna, which was anchored, and Pete was going to take his coconut dinghy and row it to Norna as well, so we were going to all meet at the mothership. Blowing pretty good that day, and Pete pushed me off, and I was pretty naive to think that sailing my dinghy Bipolar with an umbrella was enough experience to be able to sail this 18-foot actual sailboat. It was a sprit-rigged boat. Luckily there's no boom. So I'm sailing along, and I actually made it to Norna anchored out, but I didn't know what to do when I got there. I didn't know how to stop. I remembered I have to take the beef out to defrost. I think I'm going to make myself a hamburger. Okay, so I'm trying to kind of do this while cooking, because it's going to start getting dark out, and then it's going to be really hard to film when it's dark out. B. Silver asks, writing. How... You didn't discuss writing. When did you start? What type of writing? Accidental Sailor Girl, I started... It was a 7-year process. I just always loved to write, and people have always told me that they loved the way I write, and they love my story. Because I do have a pretty interesting story from growing up in foster homes and group homes, and just some of the hardships I had when I was a child that actually builds who I am now. Nothing's ever done. Like any kind of artist, a work's never done. But it's got to be at some point, and you just got to pick the time when it's done, and hopefully people like it. And I'm really glad that people have, and I've had a lot of positive feedback from my book. So thank you. Tom, Taryn, Rob. Please tell us what your ideal liveaboard sailboat would be. Ideal sailboat. That's a hard answer because every boat's a compromise. It's hard to know really what boat would be the ideal boat. The ideal cruising boat is up to you and what you feel is the best for yourself. Coolest Nerd 518 asked, what are your monthly expenses for living aboard? Is it really cheaper than us landlubbers? And I've responded to him, but I wanted to go a little more in depth here. It all depends on how willing you are to live off the grid and where you decide to dock your boat. Some places don't allow you to anchor, so you'll have to get a mooring ball. If you can find a way of finding cheaper parts to fix your boat, because a lot of times you've got companies will tag marine on the end of their products and charge triple the price. So sometimes you might be living cheaper, but your boat needs fixing up and the parts are more expensive. Ooh, now that I'm full. So, Chris Borden asks, good to see you guys are back aboard. Are you planning any long-distance sails in the near future? Maybe a cross-country road trip? It would be really cool if we could take Norna up to Maine and haul her out for a season, because when you get up there, by the time you get up there, you got to turn around and come back home. We figured if we go up to Maine, haul the boat out, and have the Volkswagen bus and drive around in the Volkswagen bus until next summer to get Norna, might be a really fun idea too. As for a cross-country road trip, we definitely got to take the bus across the country. It's gotta happen. Bide GRD1 asked, if you could please do a video on the ins and outs of living on the hook with all the opposition to it and water cop hassles. I haven't had any issue. We haven't had any issues with that. You do have to make sure that you have a holding tank or a proper toilet aboard, that you're not dumping your raw sewage into the water. Depends on where you are. Where we are right now doesn't allow anchoring, so you have to figure out what regulations are in each place you go. This person had read my book and had a couple questions about what they had read. The first question was, what were you thinking when you left your home seemingly unprepared, or when you decided to go for your first ocean continental trip aboard your boat? When I left home, I was 19. I like to surf, and I lived on the west coast of Florida, which there's really no surf, and if there is, you're going right then and there. It was time for me to figure out how to live on my own. I had a couple roommates, but things just didn't work out, and that's how I got the boat. As for the ocean crossing, yeah, I was definitely nervous, definitely anxious, but I knew I was safe with Pete, and you know, of course, there's always hidden dangers in every trip that you take aboard, and with an ocean crossing, there's huge dangers because you're out there for so long that weather's going to catch up with you. Yeah, it was definitely a little bit of shock when we left. But you know, once we were out there and we were out for a little while, we realized that we were okay and the boat could handle it. And we got real lucky, you know, the weather wasn't too bad and we did real good. Old Goat asked, what has your experience been with a full keel? Norna is a full keel. I have found, because her keel comes straight down, there's no cutaway in the front, it's hard to tack. When you want to tack the boat, there's a lot of resistance. Very good downwind. It does very good downwind because of how fat the bow is. It just rides down the waves really nice. But I would say a little bit of a cutaway would be kind of nice. That way the boat would tack a little easier. But being that she has a yard arm with a square sail, she needs a fatter bow so that when she rides down the waves, the bow will disperse the water. Although it makes it a little more difficult when trying to tack upwind. I get seasick every time I go upwind, so. Thank you guys. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to do a question and answer thing every so often. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I hope you guys have a good weekend and a good week, and I'll see you guys again next week.